there's a formula to it. A very simple formula. Everybody's a suspect. It's a statement on modern society. Ooh, ain't modern society awful?
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
So hello and welcome back to the Cabin Night Podcast. I'm James.
I'm Jake.
Hey, you did it wrong!
You did it wrong! I saw that he was busy.
Someone has always got to have a beer in their mouth. That's how these intros work.
Again, I'm Jake.
He's here twice. And today's Cabin Night Podcast, we are talking about films, particularly the Back to the Future series.
Films.
But before we do that, I just want to invite you to grab a drink, make yourself comfortable, and enjoy the discussion. There were words in there. I was like,
Somewhere.
It's too hot. Back to the Future. So we'll probably talk about these. In my head, I envision this being similar to how we do the album reviews. Because obviously Back to the Future is a trilogy of films. So we're going to talk about them individually and then try and rank them, maybe. I know there's only three.
I can rank.
I think I can, to be fair. But I found Back to the Future quite an interesting one to start off with because it's a trilogy of films, but they kind of come together as a package. You get the three. If you go to... It's very rare you would buy Back to the Future Part 1 by itself. Or for the original Back to the Future. Or 2 and 3. But you definitely wouldn't buy 2 and 3 by themselves.
No.
You'd always get the trilogy box set.
Yeah.
Really, wouldn't you?
They
come together.
On thinking we were recording this, I've rebought them on Blu-ray because I had them on DVD for years. And I thought, I'll start swapping over to Blu-ray. And I got rid of my Back to the Futures without having bought it already.
Rookie error.
So I've rebought it and I've just rewatched Back to the Future. It's weird considering I grew up in the 80s. Back to the Future was never a...
When you're an old man by the 80s.
Yeah. At least 40. I never watched them when I was younger. It's only since I turned in my teens that I watched it.
It was relatively late I watched it. I didn't really properly watch them until me and Hayley got together. There was all those films that, Sunday afternoon, I might watch it. But properly, I didn't watch them until together with Hayley.
I mean, John, he loves them. He's always loved them. But for me, it was something that I came relatively late to.
Okay.
I reckon I were at least 16, 17, so it was year 2000 before I really watched them properly and understood, what the franchise was about and what.
Yeah, I think I seem to remember they're one of them trilogies of films that I've always watched.
Well, one when the first one came out because it came out in 1985, so I mean I weren't watching that.
No.
They were all last one 90.
So yeah, I did some research this time. Not a lot.
Oh fucking hell, James has done research.
Not a lot. Not a lot, admittedly.
Went in for trouble on this one.
What was the first single released?
It was. Have you heard of Huey Lewis in the news? Now have you seen there's a clip online of Huey Lewis doing the scene from American Psycho? Yeah. It's fucking brilliant. Sorry, side note. So yeah, Back to the Future was the original one was released in 1985, and then Part 2 was 89, and Part 3 was 90 because they were filmed concurrently. Concurrently, which is why at the end of 2 there's a trailer for 3.
Yeah.
I don't think Michael J. Fox knew that there was going to be a sequel.
No one did.
No,
When they first did Back to the Future, there was never meant to be a sequel, which is why if you watch the original cut of the film, it doesn't say to be continued.
No,
it just ends because it wasn't. That's why they have the whole "it's your kids, Marty." It's meant to just a fun little kind of "oh my god, the adventure continues" type thing. Which is why also when you watch Back to the Future Part 2, it's someone else playing Jennifer.
Yeah,
because they always say
somebody else playing George McFly as well.
Yeah,
because Crispin Glover's fucking weird.
Very, very weird.
He's a very strange man who sued them.
He did because they used scenes from the first one, which is why in the long shot when Marty's gone back again, he's got the investigator outfit on, and he sees George punch Biff. It's a different shot to what you see before. It's a different actor again playing.
Which is why the guy playing older George is hung upside down with a load of prosthetics, so you can't tell it's not Crispin Glover. But yeah, there was never meant to be. So they've always said that if they knew there was going to be sequels, they wouldn't have had that with Jennifer, which is why Jennifer disappears for most of 2 and 3 because they didn't know what to do with her. Because the dynamic is all about Doc and Marty, not about Doc, Marty, and Jennifer.
I do want to see the scenes that were cut that Eric Stoltz did.
There's one shot. There is one shot that still exists.
Yes.
I mean, it is literally, unless you knew, you wouldn't fucking know. It's when he's in the diner.
Yeah.
I think it's over the shoulder after he's punched Biff. That's Eric Stoltz. That's it. That's the only shot that still exists.
Because the thing, I mean, I've just rebought and I've just watched Back to the Future again, just for shits and giggles. Cause, I mean, why not? Some of the scenes when he's holding onto the car on the skateboard, it's quite clearly a stuntman because he's about 4 foot tall.
Yeah, Michael J. Fox isn't the tallest of individuals, is he?
You were quite intense, Eric Stoltz, weren't you? By all accounts.
It was completely wrong with the part. Well, they originally wanted Michael J. Fox, but he was busy on
Family Ties.
Family Ties, yes, thank you.
Which the only way he was able to do it is by doing
He filmed them at the same time, didn't he?
So we're all full of trivia for these three films, which again I think proves how much they mean. I think they mean more to you two than they do to me. I'm not saying they don't mean because they don't.
To be fair, I don't think they do mean a lot to me, really. Because I found them so late, I don't think they do.
Got that nostalgia attached.
No.
To it, yeah.
If I'd have watched them a lot when I was a kid, it's like when I
kid films for me because they were sort of. I mean, my mum and dad were happy for me to watch Woman in Black at a very young age, which traumatised me. So Back to the Future was nothing.
yeah. I don't think they do mean a lot particularly. I think there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I don't know if we can get in trouble for this, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's fun. My message tone to this day.
Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah. It's a great line,
and it has been for a long time. It has been for so long.
I want my message tone to be Ronald Reagan, the actor. No,
who's next? Jerry Lee Lewis.
But yeah, they're so quintessentially 80s.
Yes.
Even though most of the first one's set in the 50s, but that's not the point.
But it's what I find really interesting. I mean, I've just rewatched it recently. It's the 80s view of the 50s.
Because it's a weird how cycle sort of got, especially in America, because everyone in the 80s was getting very nostalgic for the 50s.
Yes.
You know.
Their idea of the future as well.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it's brilliant.
We're 7 years past the future there, aren't we? We haven't had Jaws 32 or whatever it was that they were releasing.
But thankfully, we don't all dress like that. So,
no.
You know,
although I did go in the shopping meadow hall the other day and you can buy the
you can buy the cap.
The cap.
Although, what was that shop in Camden? Cyberdog?
Cyberdog.
Yeah, that is very much Back to the Future part. Well, apart from the sex toys on the bottom floor, they're very much
like fist.
Yeah. Oh God.
Remember it? You bought it.
I still can't walk properly. But yeah, they're very quintessentially 80s. I find, and they're good.
What a big thing for me about any programme or film is the quotability. It's something me and my family do a lot, and we do a lot as well. We quote stuff, don't we?
Oh yeah.
And my mum's of the firm belief that there's a Red Dwarf quote for every situation. That you might have
yeah,
appeared.
I'd agree. I agree.
And Back to the Future's another one.
Well, I mean, you've got to look at the intro to the Cabin Night podcast, the quotes.
Yeah.
The quotes that we all wanted to pick at some point. Maybe at some point there may be a Back to the Future one.
Well, it's nice how full circle because Evil Scare. What intro is it?
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious.
But that's where the idea for the intro came from, wasn't it?
That's what I wanted to do. Again, so a little background there on one of Evil Scarecrow's albums. They've got it's sort of like a weird undertone musical intro, but they've got some of their favourite quotes on there, and one of them is from Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Psychos, that's what they look like to you. They were vampires. Psychos do not explode when sunlight hits them. I don't give a fuck how crazy they are.
That's a great film.
To be fair, I could quote that entire film. That could be all the entrance.
That's a film that changes genre halfway through, though, isn't it?
It's such a good film.
It's a great film.
But we're not here to discuss
No, we're
that,
not.
although we may at some point.
2 and 3, maybe? I mean...
You get a bit too Danny Trejo after that, don't you? So.
I mean, everyone can handle a bit of Danny Trejo, but after a while, it's a bit... sorry, we've gone on a very interesting sidetrack there. But
Random tangent.
Yeah, but yeah, the quotability of Back to the Future is a good one. I, to this day, refer to it as the fish under the sea dance. It's not Enchantment under the sea dance. It's fish under the sea dance. Butthead is a favoured one for using for my boys. I quite regularly call them that.
Okay, so the first one, it's obviously it's very quotable. It is iconic, you know.
Funny and warm.
But the music
Disturbing.
the music is brilliant as well. I mean, I don't just mean Power of Love.
No.
You know, the one that goes dun 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 dun.
Just
Going back in time, which is also a Huey
and not
Lewis
the
one.
melody.
It is.
At the end.
But then, yeah, it's more associated with 3 though. Back in time,
It is.
even
Although
though
it closes with
it's
one.
in 1, but it's more associated with 3.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because it's actually on the credits for 3, but it's not for 1. Weirdly, as is ZZ Top. We'll get to 3 when we get there. But the actual score by Alan Silvestri is still like it's that little thing. It's there are very few soundtracks that can evoke something that quickly. John Williams is a master of it, and I think that Alan Silvestri is just, and again, just it's iconic.
There's only one other film, and it's no surprise, Ghostbusters. When they did Afterlife, they put a lot of the little score bits in Afterlife from the original film. And they all, as soon as I heard, like the opening sequence is like a little piano bit, and I knew straight away what they were doing, and all the little
It's
bits.
when he's looking around the apartment,
Yeah.
and he listens to the piano.
Yeah. And it was just all them little things. So with Back to the Future, if you hear that any bit when you imagine the cars coming, it takes you back to that point, and you go, oh yeah, I know what that bit is. I know what's coming now. And you, I'm not so sure the DeLorean was the car of the future, but anyway.
Wasn't someone's logic behind it? Well, his doors looking like they're Gullwing,
Yeah.
so that's how cars work. Yeah, that's what it's very futuristic. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was simply done not because of the performance of the car, because DeLoreans were famously not great to hand. It was simply because of how it looks.
Yeah.
That was the only reason the DeLorean was
It
picked.
looks quite spacey.
Yeah,
Do you know what the doors are called that open like that?
Gull doors, aren't they?
No.
I always thought they were called Gull.
Suicide doors.
Are they?
Apparently. They're called suicide doors.
I did not know
I'm
that.
sure they're called suicide doors.
Dad joke time. I'm selling my DeLorean. I've only driven it from time to time. So.
Oh, tumbleweeds.
You've read Chris Jericho's books, haven't you?
I haven't read. No, is a full letter.
Oh, I've not read that. I've got it, but I've not read that one. But no, is it
On the
in?
list of Jericho. I haven't read that one yet.
Oh, that's down there somewhere. List of Jericho. Well, List of Jericho's more of a reference book.
I've certainly read the first 2, and I like
Because it's in one of the first 2 he meets. I was going to say Harold Lloyd. No, not Christopher Lloyd. And he completely fucks up meeting him in the bar.
Yeah.
Because he says something like, oh, 88 gigawatts. And apparently Christopher Lloyd turned around, no, it's not 88 gigawatts, it's 1.21 gigawatts, it's 88 miles per hour. If you're going to quote, get it right, fuck off. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, never meet your heroes, they'll just shout at you.
To be fair, my other choice for a text tone was 1.21 gigawatts.
I still think the greatest moment of Back to the Future 1 though is when he puts the car down. It's ready, you know, when they're doing the test run on the model, the scale model, and it goes onto the floor, sets on fire, goes onto the floor and goes and sets that pile of like oilcloths on fire. He just goes,
Christopher Lloyd's brilliant.
One thing I find really weird, in 1985, when it was released, so it was probably filmed in 84, when you look at 1955 Doc, and I know it's the same actor, but he looks exactly like Uncle Fester in the Addams Family. I watched it last night. It looks exactly like him. Oh, some of his facial expressions are the same.
He has got quite a rubber face, hasn't he,
Yeah.
Christopher Lloyd? Yeah.
I mean, can we talk about Christopher Lloyd without talking about the most scariest scene in any film ever?
it's terrifying.
Ooh, find Roger Rabbit.
But I'm gonna say, I'd put that up there with all the Woman in Black and all the fucking horrors I ate.
Oh, dear.
Well, I like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
I don't.
No.
Was Christopher Lloyd the only choice?
I don't know.
Doc.
I mean, I can't see anyone else doing it.
I know they wanted. I know the original wanted Michael J. Fox.
Yeah,
but
he
the
was
answer
always the number one choice.
Well, going back to Eric Stoltz, I remember reading an interview with Tom, whoever plays Biff,
Tom Wilson. Tom F. Wilson.
and he was saying it got to a point where when they had the fighting scenes, because of how intense Eric were, you were actually hitting him, you were actually catching him, and
He wanted it though, didn't he? He wanted to feel like he were.
no, well, he was saying it actually were upsetting him.
Oh, right.
It is sort of in obviously a mirror image to his character. He's renowned as being an incredibly nice man, Tom Wilson.
Oh, yeah,
Just
yeah.
like a genuinely nice guy.
He's one of the few people you'll always see on like, the Comic Con circuits and stuff.
And he got upset by it. He thought, "What's this guy's problem? Why is he actually hitting me and what have you?" And in the scene in the school cafeteria where they have a little scuffle, don't they? But Strickland jumps him beforehand. He'd planned to thumping back during that scene actually hit him.
Really?
He said it got to a point where I was that fed up of being hit by Eric, I was going to get my own back, but he was fired before that scene was filmed.
Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, I've heard that he's quite a nice bloke.
But he's not done a lot since, though, has he? Really?
He's done a lot to do with Back to the Future.
Yeah, a lot of
he did a lot of the
conventions,
conventions,
the games,
with the games. When the ride came out, he was one of the only 2 returning actors to do stuff with the ride. It was him and Christopher Lloyd who did stuff with the ride. Which I know you're not a big fan of rides, though, are you? But it looked brilliant. It was a proper it was a motion simulator ride.
Yeah,
and it just looked.
That'd have been all right.
You actually sat in little DeLoreans,
Yeah.
8-seater DeLoreans, but still.
That'd have been all right because I've been on the Star Tours one at Disneyland, and that's
Yes, it is similar.
that I don't mind.
I think, to be fair, I think Star Tours was probably more intense than the Back to the Future ride was.
Can Leah Thompson,
Yeah.
young mom, mom
I don't
Before
think,
she's a mom.
before she's a mom.
I mean, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with you there.
Fuck.
She is. She's brilliant.
That scene in the
She's
car
also
at
in
the end,
Howard the Duck as well. I don't know if you've seen Howard the Duck.
I have not.
Oh God, she is in Howard the Duck, isn't she?
She's the-
I've not seen that film since I was about 10. And I shouldn't have seen that film
Ironically-
because there's a lot of stuff in there that you know.
it really shouldn't have seen it.
Ironically, Marty was older than both of the actors playing his
Yes,
He
parents,
was.
yeah.
But he had to be because obviously they were younger.
But yet, he looks so young.
He's always had a baby face, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, I know now he's obviously quite a bit older, but he's not.
When he puts
doesn't
that
look-
costume on though, because he still does conventions every so often. When he puts that costume on, he transports himself back in time, for want of a better word, and he looks young again.
But yeah, Leah Thompson.
Yeah.
Especially at the end scene when she's got the prom dress on.
Yeah, the one that she leans over him and Biff looks in the car.
Yeah.
Oh,
So on tonight's episode of the Perv Cabin Night,
Just going back to quotability, that's one my dad still uses today, and not in that scenario. I'll just clarify, not in that scenario, but he uses that quite a lot. He says, "What do you think this is, a peep show?"
that's always one of my favourite quotes. When he's up in the tree, and just Marty just comes and goes, "It's a peeping Tom." But I love that idea of basically going back and because you idolise your parents.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of going back and they're not perfect. They've done all the exact same shit you've done, and they're
I just
telling
find
you
it
off
really
for.
funny that
Are you telling us that you've been up a tree?
Perving on your mum.
Right. This is. Oh, this just. Why is this taking such a dark turn?
You said it.
No, I didn't say that.
It's the bit I really picked on when I watched it a couple of days ago was when he talks to what's the name of the mayor in current time?
Goldie. Oh, man.
Wilson. Goldie
Yeah,
Wilson.
Goldie Wilson.
He says, "Oh yeah, you're going to become mayor," and then Goldie like, "Oh, that's a good idea." So does that mean he wouldn't have?
Would he have not?
Do you know what I mean? Like, because he talks about not changing the future.
Well, was he always meant to be there to put Goldie on
Well,
the path?
Here's a fun tangent that you two
shouldn't
won't
have
like.
done this, yeah.
No.
Rob, you shouldn't have done this because now we're going to get a lecture.
Well, no, because the Back to the Future sort of idea of how time travel works. 'Cause obviously, every time, it's explored in 2 and 3 more, but every time you change something in the past, it alters the future.
Yeah.
So by that logic, they shouldn't. Goldie should have always been mayor. So it doesn't make sense. So let's say he just sped that up rather than because obviously everything else changes. So
Yeah, because I thought that. So that 1955 doesn't exist until he goes back in time. So
yeah.
Goldie is mayor, but he's only running for mayor, isn't he? He's running for mayor at the beginning.
He's running for re-election.
Re-election. That's it.
Running for re-election. So yeah, he's already mayor.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, possibly sped it up. But then again, if not much is changed at the fish under the sea dance, Jake calls it, why is there such a drastic difference between his his dad and Biff's relationship in the new future?
Because that's what's changed. Obviously, Biff, because now George has stood up to Biff. George would never have stood. Unless it was
I
for Marty,
suppose.
George would never have stood up to Biff.
But everything happens the same. They still kiss. That's still the first dance, and it's still all that bit is the same. Other than the fact that George has now twatted Biff, there's no real difference in that future. But yet it's a drastic difference when it gets to 1985.
Well, I suppose it's talking about it's the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
It's one small thing is that such
Yeah.
because
How it eventually
Suppose, yeah.
blossomed.
That's a
into-
good film, Butterfly Effect.
It's actually it's not bad. Actually, to be fair, I've been able to watch it. But I think what we need to agree on is that we shouldn't get too bogged down with the science of Back to the Future because they don't.
Because there's a lot that is
It plays
questionable.
It's just it's using it as an excuse to have a rollicking fun time.
Even trying to work out the science is still fucking fun.
It's going to be a negative that I take from the film, and it's a small one, but it does bother me every time because, and it's something that I've always hated with any film, is when you get something spoon-fed to you, when you get something absolutely like, you're not clever enough to make this.
I know which bit you're going for. Yeah.
Which bit?
Is it it's your cousin Marvin?
Why can't we just say it's your cousin? Hey Chuck, it's me Marvin. You know that new sound you've been looking for? Listen to this.
Yeah.
I don't mind what they're doing in the scene. I don't mind that. It's just it's me, your cousin Marvin Berry.
Yeah.
It's a little laboured. Yeah.
This is an oldie. Where I come from.
But no way you'd be able to get that sound out of that shitty little guitar.
No,
And no way that's Michael J. Fox playing it either.
it is not.
He did learn how to.
He
did
learned
learn
to play it, but it's not actually him playing because he had to mime it
It's not him
right.
singing either, is it? Yeah.
No.
No,
You can
no.
tell it's not him singing it.
I can't. It's like he sounds completely different to Michael J. Fox. I can't remember who it is who's actually playing the guitar. I want to say in my head is Huey Lewis,
It
but
might be.
because obviously Huey Lewis has a cameo as well. He's the
Battle of the Bands judge, isn't he?
Yes, just too darn loud.
And they start playing.
He's one of 3 musical cameos over at Corset. 3 films, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, ZZ Top's another one. Who's the third?
Flea.
Oh yes, he's Needles, isn't he?
Yeah. And Billy Zane is in the original.
Yes,
As one of his gang.
Is he 3D? Is he 3D? He's on,
think
or is he Toothpick? He's one of those two.
Yeah.
He's 3D or Toothpick. Put a diamond in the coat. Put the coat on her. Sorry,
What do they? When they put Marty in the trunk of Marvin's car, what do they say to him? And then they'll, because it's obviously a derogatory term. It's not the N word, but it's something like it. And then they all get out of the car, and obviously all the.
It's like, I don't want to be messing with no reefer man.
I'm sure it's about. I'm sure it's about drugs. Yeah.
And then they all get out of the car. Oh.
Smoke comes billowing out of the car.
Yeah, it's a little. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the past is a different country.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, you all right there? Oh dear. Oh dear.
It wasn't a Trump. It was just.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
we'll go for that. Oh Jesus! Are you sure?
It's very sweaty. Yeah.
It's horrible. Have you? Oh, right.
He would. He didn't. Do it again.
Would you have been happy if they'd have stopped at one?
Yes. It stands up completely on its own. It
does,
stands up
to be fair,
completely.
it
It stands up completely.
I
on its
would
own.
if they'd not had that final scene with him coming back. I think if they're going to do it, they should end it. It'd been a good place to end it with Marty and Jennifer driving off in his new truck.
Yeah.
I would have been happy if that was.
Or at least getting into the
fact
truck and
that-
closing the door.
And I know you like saying, "Oh, the adventure continues," as you've mentioned already. But the fact that he's turned up in a flying DeLorean,
Yeah, that's what
I just want to know about the flying DeLorean now.
Yeah, but that's the point. It's like, the future's brilliant, isn't it? You know, the future is what you
so
make
show
it.
me. I've been amazed by the technical, the what you see on screen happening in the first one. Show me more.
I was at work on Back to the Future Day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was actually at.
Did anyone come in dressed up?
No.
Of course they didn't. So I think that's Back to the Future Part 1 thoroughly discussed.
Mm-hmm.
So now on to number 2. Number 2. Now what can we say about number 2?
There is a very interesting cameo in it.
In 2.
In 2.
I think I know who you're talking. Is it the kid at the
Oh,
Elijah
Wood.
Wood.
very young Elijah?
Is he Duck Hunt is playing?
Crack shot.
Crack
Shot. That's it, Crack Shot.
Use your hands. That's a baby's toy.
I like that. Just that entire 80s perception of the future is.
Yeah.
Ah, it's
wonderful.
brilliant. It's
What
like having
number
Michael
Jaws
Jackson.
is it? Is it 19?
Michael Jackson
So, yeah, it's
serving you
nice.
on a box TV.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah.
it probably were quite something back then, but now it's just.
I think it's called retrofuturism or something like that. It's got a wonderful name.
It's like Fallout's very retro-futurism.
Yeah. It's from sort of the 1950s. But it's like when they made Alien Isolation game, they did it in the style of how Alien looked in the 70s, and it's called retrofuturism.
The one thing that I did like, sorry, going back to the Future, when he gets in the DeLorean and drives around away from the Turks. Is it the Turks? He's driving?
Libyans.
That's it. And he ends up going into the past, and then when he comes, it's the Two Pines Mall. And when he comes back, it's the Lone Pine Mall.
Yeah,
because he knocks it over. And
yeah. There's lots of
Pines,
there's lots of there's lots of little bits like that throughout all three films,
which is good that they I mean, obviously it was a plan that they did that, but I still think
a nice little touch.
Yeah,
they never draw attention to it.
No,
as well. It's just
because he looks. Does he come up to the sign and look over it?
Yeah.
Or something like that, and it's the Lone Pine Mall.
Nowadays, that would maybe
Peabody's
like a big shot on it and stuff like that. Yeah.
P. Sherman, is it? That's P. Sherman.
You're thinking of Finding Nemo.
Peabody, isn't it?
Yeah.
Peabody.
Was it? I love that. It's just a little thing that's not really expanded upon. But when Doc's saying, "Oh, Peabody used to own all this land as far as the eye can see, used to be pine trees." Anyway, it's just a little confused look on his face. It's why?
Why am I saying this?
But yeah, so part two.
Yeah,
part two.
It's although it's what 5 years later, whatever it takes off exactly after.
Literally, it starts as the other film ends. Yeah, as they go back to the future.
What
Elizabeth Shue.
Yes, definitely. What I find weird as well is, did you notice at the end of one? Do you notice what the blender's called?
Is it Mr. Fusion?
Mr. Fusion, is it?
Dr. Fusion.
Oh, is it Dr. Fusion?
It's Dr. Fusion.
Oh, okay.
No, I just find it really funny that he's named it after kind of himself. He's Doc Brown, isn't it?
Fusion, yeah.
But I just find it really funny that he now takes banana peels and fruit peels
it's
and
now
stuff.
green.
Yeah.
It's
Green
gone
power.
green. Is reduce, reuse, and recycle before it was fun.
Before it's fashionable.
Yeah. It was just really funny.
I probably for many years liked Two More Than One because I always like the idea of the future more.
What's to come rather than what's been.
I found two a bit too much of the first film again. When they literally go back to the 1950s and have to do all that again.
I did like that though, as in addition to the alternate 85 that it goes back to where Biff's like the overlord and it's like, you can do this the easy way or the hard way.
It's quite grim.
It
Although
is.
that is the only loophole. That's the only loophole with logic I find is that because when they get back to the alternate 1985, it's a real nitpicky thing to do. They put Jennifer on her porch.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you don't see her again to the end of part 3.
Yeah.
But because that 1985 has now been erased by the end of part 3, she should in theory have changed. She should have disappeared because they left her in this basically closed timeline.
Yeah.
So she should.
Did they say something along the lines of?
They'll explain it away in one sentence, but it wouldn't make sense in the whole bigger
Something
picture.
like that the people remain regardless of the timeline, but the time moves around.
There's no other example of that happening.
No.
That's the problem. It's a real nitpicky
Well,
thing.
I suppose there is because the timeline's changing.
Oh,
There in front of
see.
Marty when he's playing guitar, his hand disappears.
Yeah.
Because his
Which is
timeline's
such
been
a
erased.
CG thing.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see. Oh, there's the green screen or blue screen, I suppose it would have been at the time. But yeah, I think 2 is a bit too much of a rehash of number 1, following too many beat for beat. And there's something that pops up in all 3. You always have the "Mom, is that you?" There's lots of scenes that they repeat.
Speaking of that role, I remember being. I'm not ashamed now, but when I first found out, I was like, oh. But the Marty and Jennifer's daughter, I remember growing up thinking she's all right there.
You mean
Yeah.
Michael J.
I
Fox?
don't get how people didn't realise it's Michael J. Fox in a wig.
I watched it much younger than you.
Yeah,
two.
but it's Michael J. Fox in a wig. There's literally nothing else they've done.
Would you have known that at 4 years old?
Yes, because it looks like Michael J. Fox in a wig. They did
Well,
a
I
bad
thought
wig.
he
In a
looked
very bad.
fit.
They did change I think they gave him contacts or something, so he had. And they did something
I know
to
they put some
Marty
tights on his
Junior's.
legs and he has a cracking pair of legs on.
Yeah, because he got a bigger chin or something.
He's got a bigger chin. And they've done something to his teeth, I
Yeah.
think, as well. So they did more.
But they are just Marty McFly's kids. They are. Jennifer doesn't matter
yeah,
at this point.
his mum could have been anyone. Yeah,
They are just clones of Michael J. Fox. Literally, clones of Michael J. Fox.
I
They are.
like him as well. That his boss.
I'll say Needle, but Needle's isn't his boss. Needle's is just a co-worker. isn't he?
Co-worker, yeah. McFly.
I just like the fact that Biff becomes basically Donald Trump.
There's no basically about it. It is. There's no ifs and buts about that. That is Donald Trump. That is Donald Trump. I also like the idea that they think, oh yeah, in the future, yeah, people still have fax machines. They'll have fax machines all over the house.
Yeah.
That want to print in every room whenever you send a fax.
But yet you've got
And 2
video
ties.
screens and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
2 ties.
I didn't get that. I mean, I know, again, it's not meant to be taken seriously at all. But it's like kind of, oh, it's the future, we've got to do something drastic with the fashion. Oh, yeah, everyone's got 2 ties now. So it's like, what?
That's an interesting point, and I've wondered about it for years, and we're only having read sort of fan theories and some comments from production team. When Biff returns to old Biff returns to his own time,
Another point, yeah.
and he's given an almanac to young Biff by this point, and he gets out at the estate where Marty and Jennifer live, and he's in a lot of pain. He gets out and he's like gasping, and not just an old man who's been in a time machine, having just discovered time travel.
Having just squashed yourself into a DeLorean.
Yeah, it's more of a case of the guy's in serious pain. Why is that? And the theory being is that old Biff doesn't exist anymore because he's changed his own future. So that Biff that we saw getting out of the DeLorean is physically unravelling, and that's why he's in pain.
But again, their own logic. Biff shouldn't be able to get back to that part of the future.
No.
He should have closed off his own time. I guess another bit of loophole logic. Again, don't read too much into it.
But
yeah.
then maybe that's it. Maybe they were.
They're playing fast and loose with their own rules. See, yeah, 2 and 3 for me come as a package deal. You can't have one without the other.
See,
One you could have by itself. But I
I'm
don't
the
think
other way. If any come together, it's 1 and 2. I know 2 and 3 are filmed together. For some reason, I don't know why, I'm not a big fan of 3, and I never have been.
It's the lesser of the 3.
So I disagree. I think
I know a lot of people think 2's the worst.
Yeah, I'm in that. I'm in that.
But
I took 1 and 2 over.
For me, it's order of release.
Yeah.
It's order of release.
Oh, you think? Okay, if we're doing the ranking, I think we can all agree that 1 is still one.
Yeah,
Is
One's the one. For me personally, I just don't like number 3.
I like it. I don't get me wrong.
Well, no,
I
I don't like
but
it.
It's my least favourite.
I like it because they tried to do something a bit different. They weren't just trying to do Back to the Future again.
But they did.
Not as much as they did in 2.
Not as much, no, but they did in a roundabout way. They just went, literally, a carbon copy, but we're going to go to 1500s or whatever year they go.
I wouldn't say it was as much of a copy as 2 was.
But he still fights Biff. There's all the same elements of it, all the hallmarks of 1 and 2.
Yeah, there's the same elements coming
It would have
back.
been better if it was somebody else. Because what is it? They go back to 3. They go back in 3 because of Doc's
stuck in the past. Yeah,
Doc's stuck in the past.
But I like all that stuff and all the finding out.
Yeah,
and
I like the fact that Doc stays there though.
Yeah, as
But then
definite
that
end.
gets rid of 1 and 2. Because if he stays in 15 whatever, he doesn't come into 1995.
No, because that's
just not changing timeline.
Because that's Doc's personal future, not actual future.
If he'd gone back in time, took him as a baby back to then.
Yeah.
But bear in mind, that's technically Doc from the end of Back to the Future Part 1 going back to the past. So,
it isn't it?
Or end of Part 2 rather. Yeah. Oh, so I could time travel. So I'm with it.
Well, I mean, Doctor Who fan.
I get how the time travel shit works.
I'm surprised we haven't spoken about Doctor Who yet. Actually, to be fair, and we haven't linked it to Back to the Future.
Well, why would you compare the 2? Is what I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. Why would you? Because Back to the Future is by far better.
Well, no. Okay. Back to the Future is great. Back to the Future is rich. The one especially is brilliant. It's quite often ranked in one of the best films of all time, and I think that's a fair statement to be had. I think one is.
I think it's one of them top 100 films you've got to see before you die.
Yeah,
definitely.
But yeah, see what I mean? I said at the beginning is that they come together. The Back to the Future trilogy. Basically, it's one film over 6 hours. Let's say. Basically, there are very few films.
I get that with Scream 1, 2, and 3. I can't watch Scream without carrying on.
I'm like that with Star Wars.
Yeah.
I can't watch Rogue One without at least watching the opening sequence of A New Hope.
Yeah.
But you would very rarely find them. I mean, I suppose in the sense that you
particularly that go back like that, because A New Hope was
77.
77.
And Rogue One was 2012? 13?
No, it's like 17, 18 is much more recent. Yeah.
It's
much more recent, yeah.
They didn't do new series, the new trilogy till
no, Rogue One was sort of in the middle of the new trilogy coming out. But I was thinking more like Lord of the Rings, even though there's Fellowship, Two Towers and Return of the King,
it's one story.
It's one to three,
It's one big film over 16 hours if you have the extended editions. Which is
what you should have, the extended edition.
Which is what you should have, the extended edition.
If I'm really ill and I'm in bed all day, that's what I'm watching.
I mean, that's fair.
Lord of the Rings.
They're great films.
Yeah, there's not many films that I will watch concurrently like that. As in, like I'll pull out any Halloween and watch any Halloween. I don't feel like I need to watch the whole series. I have just watched the Halloween series and the Friday the 13th series, but I don't feel like I have to.
Yeah, they're not.
You just pull out a film and watch it because.
I was going to do that with Jurassic Park 1 and 2 as well.
That's what I reckoned.
Sorry, Siri.
Oh, you said series, didn't you? Yeah. But yeah, so I think that is Back to the Future thoroughly dissected, and I think we've all agreed that yes,
They're great films.
it is good.
1 to 3 is the ranking. There we go. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
Whatever. Just sod it.
James just wants to be cool right now.
I said it's literally. It's too hot today. See, it works. It fucking works. So, thank you very much. You've been great. We've been Cabin Night. A good night. Dun, 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 dun.